We're back again. Today we are going to be going over the Jedi, the evolution of the team, and what it will eventually look like. Now this is one of my favorite squads. On my account, I am sitting right about tier 4, right? Got Hermit Yoda unlocked. I'm in like a 3.5 to a 4, right? We don't still have Anakin in there. We moved Jedi Knight Revan to leader, moved Bastila Shan over. But we don't quite have Hermit Yoda where we need him either to run this team, the tier 4 team optimally. So I'm sitting at 3.5, but even then it is a great team. So let's get into it. And this is a team I would honestly call the toolbox team. As you'll see why as we kind of go through, there's lots of Jedi that fit in here. You know, you could easily replace like Ahsoka Tano or Bastila Shan with someone like Shak T, right? So getting into the way I really organized this was based off of like starting player to end game player. But this, and there's a reason that, even on my 5.5 million GP main account, I'm only sitting at a 3.5 on this scale. And the reason that is this team really requires a lot in terms of the journey guide farm if you want to hit that final tier, which we'll get to in a minute. Um, but starting it out, you're gonna start the game with Jedi Knight Anakin. You're probably gonna farm Phoenix first, so you'll get Kanan, you'll get Ezra. Ahsoka Tano, I believe, is still given to you as well, and Mace Windu comes from getting your fleets, right, when you do those special missions. Also easily accessible from the Squad Arena store. So this is really what your starting Jedi team will probably look like. Maybe you throw Mace in there, right? But it really doesn't take much effort to get to tier 2. Tier 2, you can see I have General Kenobi in there over Kanan. Um, Anakin moved to the back burner from the leader slot, and we got Grandmaster Yoda taking out Ezra Bridger, right? Ezra can stick with Phoenix, which really isn't going to do you much except maybe a GAC defense team or a Territory Wars defense team. But what's really going on here is Anakin's just here for the leader. He does the AoE damage, which is really, really big, right? Um, which also gives offense up to the team. Mace Windu's a great, great tank. Used end game with teams like Jedi Master Kenobi. So he's really good there. He also puts out a decent amount of damage. Ahsoka Tano's there for the buff dispel. Ezra can buff dispel as well as deal out some damage, and Kanan's there as well to tank, but also give some extra durability to the rest of the team through his protection up. Right. He also has a counter chance, and on his basic, he can inflict offense down, which again is there to increase the durability of your team. Um, but really, this is not a great team that's going to get you far, right? It'll get you, a couple rounds into the assault battle that requires Jedi, um, against the Separatists, but that's really it. It's not going to do anything. Anything crazy. And what is this team lacking? The real thing that this team is lacking is damage, right? Um, Damage and, in a way, survivability, which is a little different than durability. This team doesn't have a whole lot of health or protection recovery, right? And so because of that, this team is pretty frail. Ezra Bridger, Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano are all fairly frail characters, right? So if you're facing a team that can ignore taunts like a CLS team, this becomes really, really, really hard, really, really easy. Sorry, really, really easy to beat. You take out Anakin, you take out Ezra, you take out Ahsoka, and you knock out the tanks pretty quick, right? So coming here to tier 2, what's the difference? Well, your second tank is a better tank and will taunt on a more consistent basis. He also has an AoE mass assist, which means you're calling Anakin in to inflict the healing immunity, inflict the buff immunity on his basic as well, right? Call Ahsoka to dispel buffs. So really, Ahsoka should be over here so that she hits before Anakin. Um, and then we get rid of any, any tenacity up so that Anakin can really inflict his debuffs. Right. The other thing too is you're bringing in Grandmaster Yoda, and Grandmaster Yoda is absolutely fantastic. He's a turn meter train himself. He's going to take a lot of turns, especially if he's being called to assist pretty very often. The other thing too, he spreads a lot of buffs, and from there, he also what was I gonna say? He can also remove turn meter, and he's a big damage output. I would argue more essential than Anakin when it comes to damage output, because Anakin, quite frankly, just goes better with the Padme team. So does Ahsoka Tano and General Kenobi, which we'll get to later. Because as you'll see, we'll start to phase out some of this Galactic Republic squad here that really belongs with Padme, and that's where we go into tier 3 here. Whoops. Tier 3 right here. Um, so here's the thing with the tier 3, right? Is you're going to switch over to Basilisk Sean lead. You're going to add Joel Lee to the lineup. You're going to have Grandmaster Yoda. You're going to have Mace Windu and Jedi Knight Anakin, right? And what does this add to the team? It adds that healing factor to the team, right? So Jolie is able to revive all dead Jedi. Really important. You want him to be big and you want him to be beefy so that he can thrive. So if the rest of the squad goes down, great, they are all back up, right? Basilisk Shan leadership is almost as good as a Jedi Knight Revan leadership. Not quite as good, but almost. And what she does is she's now going to give everybody a bunch of durability. So she's going to give everyone 200, 300% protection up. And while they have that protection up, they also gain a bunch of tenacity, which means they can't um, be debuffed as easily, right? It's going to take a lot of work. Either it can't be resisted. For like a team like General Grievous, your potency is really going to have to ramp up. So it really makes it hard to inflict the debuffs you need. That's why it stops teams like Empire. Troopers not so much because troopers can just run a train on you, turn meter train on you, but normal Empire like Palpatine, Vader, Thrawn, Mara Jade, all that, they cannot inflict the debuffs they need to gain that turn meter train, right? Particularly Vader, right? He's gonna force crush, nothing's gonna happen, and he's not gonna be able to go into Merciless right away, right? So the other thing too is Basilisk Shan here has direct synergy with indirect synergy. Sorry. So there's a difference between direct and indirect, right? So direct synergy, which I'll put the differences here along the side, is or along the side, right? So Basilisk Shan has what's called indirect synergy. Her kit does not say Grandmaster Yoda specifically. If it said that Basilisk Shan gets plus 50% offense when she's with Grandmaster Yoda, right? That would be direct synergy, is saying Grandmaster Yoda makes Basilisk Shan better, right? Instead, though, is Basilisk Shan is able to transfer a bunch of buffs over to one character, and Grandmaster Yoda loves spreading buffs, right? So that's not a direct synergy, that is indirect, right? It doesn't call him out specifically, but it works really well with him, right? And that's another thing about this team is now you're able to constantly apply offense, defense, tenacity up, um, I want to say speed up. Like there's a bunch of buffs that Basilisk Shan grants a single character. It's like 5 different buffs. And then Grandmaster Yoda just says, okay, now everybody has them. Right. So that is really amazing for this team because, like I said, offense up is one of those included ones, which means you are really increasing your damage output in this. So So going from tier 3 to tier 4, we add a couple of things, right? One, we add Jedi Knight Revan, who is going to add a bunch of speed to your Jedi, right? I believe it's 5 speed for every Jedi and Old Republic character on the team, which is going to double dip with Jolie and Bastila Shan, right? You could run Juhani if you want that extra 5 speed, but I would not say it's particularly worth it. And at this point in here, we're going to drop the tank, right? So, at this point, you can drop Mace Windu, you can keep Mace Windu and replace somebody else, and that's why I call this a toolbox team, is you can really adjust it to what you want for the battle, right? So you add Jedi Knight Revan, and Jedi Knight Revan is really good because he's the reason you're gonna counter General Grievous teams, right? He's the reason you're gonna beat SLKR when you get up to these tier 5, tier 6 teams, is because he is able to look past taunts and mark down very specific and very important characters, right? Such as SLKR, right? The other thing too, which is really, really good because you can also use when you have him in the leader slot, he gives this ability to the first Jedi to go down, right? Which he doesn't revive them. We call it the savior effect in the game. When they hit 1 HP, they rebound with all the way back up to full health, full protection, dispel all buffs, right? So they never actually die. They just hit 1 HP and then go all the way back up, right? And they gain 100% turn meter, right? They just take another turn right away. Um, and that's the savior mechanic. So he grants that to the team. So you can't just go in and like knocks Jolie out to prevent the revives. You have to turn through one of these characters here, trigger the savior effect, and then you have to kill Jolie to prevent the revive, right? So it's a really, really time consuming, damage consuming team that's going to force you to play well, right? Even now, once I'm starting to see fully relics teams here, even when you still have like Anakin in the team, it makes it tough. And that's why it's a toolbox team, because you can have Anakin in this team here, right, at fully relics, and it gets tough because you have to take down Anakin as opposed to Grandmaster Yoda, right? Because Anakin, when a character drops below 50% health, like he's going to come back and he's going to hit you hard, right? Um, so Jedi Knight Revan adds that to the team. Whenever a character attacks out of turn, recover protection. Joel, he's constantly calling characters to assist, right? On the mark down, he's calling every Jedi to assist. The ability he has a granted ability, much like Thrawn's leadership, where it says, "Hey, call target, dispel all debuffs on target ally, call them to assist, and call yourself to assist," right? So you give it to Grandmaster Yoda, right? Grandmaster Yoda says, "Hey, Revan, let's go hit, General Grievous." Revan says, "Great, let's do it." Revan goes and hits, and then Yoda goes and hits, and then gains turn meter himself, right? So he's closer to taking his next turn, right? So the synergy Revan gives to all of these guys is absolutely great, right? And then one kit I really want to break down is Hermit Yoda's, right? Because his kit is a little bit complex, um, but he's a support character, and what they have to do with these support characters is they have to make them, if you got a regular character here that deals damage, they have to make them slightly better because this character can't deal damage, right? So he has to work with the team. They have to work with the team in a way that makes them worthwhile to use in the team. That's why when you run CLS, and like a territory battle, it is so important to have C3PO because they have to make him a little bit better. When they make him a little bit better, that makes him desirable, right? Same thing here with Yoda, right? So do or do not. Let's break this down real quick. Coming out here, whenever an ally with Master Train is defeated, he gains 100% turn meter and resets all of his cooldowns. Awesome. That's great. So 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, right? All of these just reset, and he takes another turn. So what's an exile do? All right. He gains stealth at the start of each encounter. That's really nice because then he can't be targeted right away. And that's really important because, like I said, you got the balance between the characters. Can't deal damage, so their kit has to be a little bit better, right? So he can't be targeted right away. And then if there's nobody else, he escapes. He runs, right? He has 100% evasion while stealth, so really, really hard to deal damage to, hard to hit. Let's start with the basic here instead, actually. So what does the basic do? All other allies recover 10% health and 5% protection. Other Jedi allies gain 5% turn meter, adding turn meter to the team. So more turns more consistently. He's adding recovery between protection and health, which adds to the survivability of this team. Like I said, there's a difference between durability and survivability. Durability is how many hits can you take. Survivability is how quickly can you bounce back, right? So you take a hit, great. How easily can you come back up to the full health? He's adding to this survivability in addition to Jolie, right? Jolie does a lot in terms of adding protection up, in terms of adding things like recovering health, particularly on himself because he does that on his basic. He does it when he calls another ally to assist, right? So this adds even more survivability, which makes it a really hard team. Excuse me, a really hard team to deal with. So we have Master's Training here, which I think is going to be we're going to find is going to be the bread and butter of this, right? So Yoda goes back into stealth, dispel all buffs on another target ally, and then you grant them Master's Training, which is a unique buff, so it can't be copied. And then call all allies with Master's Training to assist. 25. So everything that is gained here will be doubled for Jedi. So this 25% is really 50%. Gain 50% accuracy, defense, offense, potency, tenacity, and it can't be dispelled or prevented. They get it till the end of battle. That is absolutely amazing. So Revan already boosts offense, um, speed, that sort of thing. He says, all right, more accuracy, so it's harder to dodge. More defense, we're going to increase our durability, increase our offense, increase our potency. So Revan's adding, more stuns on the mass assist, right? Bas more ability blocks. Yoda removing more turn meter, more potency down, right? This adds a lot. And tenacity, that's crazy, right? Because you don't want characters like Jolie gaining healing immunity, right? So that one's really good as well. And then lastly here, strength flows from the force. All allies have their current health percentages equalized, um, which ignores healing immunity. And then everybody recovers 20% health and protection, and Jedi allies gain foresight. That is another huge ability because, like I said, Hermit Yoda adds so much to survivability and to durability with Master's Training. If he's constantly able to spam off this Master's Training every couple turns, then that is amazing, right? And this here is adding more turn meter even to himself, right? So if you're constantly calling him to assist, he's gaining turn meter, right? And it's just very, very easy for this team to go nuts, right? This is why this team beats General Grievous so quickly. Is Revan's gonna mark down the enemy General Grievous, and then Hermit Yoda is going to be given extra damage to Grandmaster Yoda or to Jedi Knight Revan, right? And then you're just calling assist after assist. Basila is giving buffs to Yoda, who's giving it to everyone else. This team just goes crazy, right? And you can take Basila Shan out of here. If you need the healing immunity, great. Throw in Jedi Knight Anakin. You need an extra tank to deter from Hermit Yoda because you're facing another Jedi Knight Revan team and they're going to target Yoda. Great, throw in Mace Windu, right? There's all sorts of things you can do to this team. Nothing here is set in place, right? And you'll see that as we go down to the list next to this tier 5 right here, right? So here's the thing with once we get down here, we are adding two very big characters to this team. I put Mace Windu back in here. In all honesty, this one probably could be Grandmaster Yoda still, right? We're probably going to leave the tank out. All right. But Here is the big thing, right? So we're adding General Skywalker, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. All right. Um, which is really, really nice because this can help you beat teams like Darth Revan. Because you can just gun down Malik now, right? General Skywalker is really, really good at that. That is actually what his entire kit is designed around, right? Jedi Knight Luke is another big, big character, and we're gonna break both of them down. They're both newer character. Well, Jedi Knight Luke is a newer character. General Skywalker came out before we had our first Galactic Legends, but we'll still take a look at him. So what does General Skywalker add to the team, right? And he, again, another toolbox character. So let's just go with the uniques again. Hero with no fear. We're going to start right here. He gains 25% defense, max protection, and 25% tenacity for each other 501st ally. Doesn't matter, right? We don't care about this, right? So hero with no fear really doesn't matter a whole lot for the Jedi tag, right? So what about the Chosen One? He uses an additional ability during his turn. Okay, that's nice. I mean, it doesn't say Jedi, but that's nice. Uh, when he critically hits an enemy, increase their cooldowns by 1. Again, nice, but that doesn't call out Jedi. When he's critically hit, dispel all debuffs on himself. And then enemies attacking out of turn can't critically hit. Again, not calling out Jedi, but this is starting to be a toolbox team. If the target enemy has no protection when General Skywalker uses an ability, reduce their current max health by 20% for the rest of the battle. This does stack. It does not include raid bosses, galactic legends, and it cannot be resisted. So that's the really big ability, kind of why this team has the potential to counter Darth Revan and Malik, is because General Skywalker is going to make it super, super easy to chew through um, Darth Malik. General of the 501st, that's not going to apply to the Jedi. You're not going to use him for his leadership. In the first slot, you're going to use either Jedi Knight Revan or Jedi Knight Luke, right? So then coming over here, Force Grip, what does this do? All right, just an increase in damage. Deal physical damage to enemies and daze them for 2 turns if possible. This attack will critically hit enemies with armor shred, so that calls back to increasing their cooldowns. If this was the first ability he uses, then he reset Sundering Strike's cooldown and use it, right? So Sundering Strike, what does that do? Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict armor shred. Great, now they have drop defense, really good against Malik again, right? If they are dazed, this attack deals double damage. Uh, if it's the first one used, then use Force Grip, which is the one we just said, where he inflicts daze on everyone, right? Furious Slash. Um, Come on down here, deal physical damage to target enemy. This attack can't be evaded and has 65% defense penetration, tripled if all allies are 501st. Doesn't apply in this situation. If this is the first ability General Skywalker uses, then he uses telekinesis right after. Um, Deal physical damage to target enemy. It will critically hit enemies with armor shred, and if the target is dazed, reduce his cooldowns by 1, which is really important. Uh, he doesn't get the counter chance in here, but he is constantly called to assist, right, by Jedi Knight Revan, right? So he will be reducing his cooldowns. Um, so General Skywalker, again, no direct synergy with these Jedi other than the tag, so he gets the bonuses from his leadership. But the other thing, like I said, is this is a toolbox team. He brings a lot to the table when it comes to things like countering um, Darth Malik. And then we hop over here to Jedi Knight Luke, right? And this is one that you could use the leadership ability, right? So we'll start here at Jedi Knight's Resolve. Each time he is damaged, he gains 5% turn meter and 5% offense stacking, max 25% until he uses Prevailing Strike on his turn. Whenever he attacks out of turn or is critically hit, he gains 2 speed, max 20. So additional speed equals more turns until then encounter. At the end of each other Jedi ally's turn, excluding Old Republic Jedi, he gains 10% turn meter. Okay. That's all right. And he's immune to fear and stun. So kind of a non-bow with the rest of the Jedi Knight Revan, kit, right? Because he is Old Republic, so is Jolie, but that's okay because at this point we've really kind of phased a lot of this Old Republic out. Like these ones, yes, are better, but it's a toolbox team. So if you want to run Old Republic Jedi, great, right? So let's give this a chance to load. All light side allies have 15% critical chance and critical damage, double for Jedi. All right, more damage. Always love that. At the start of his turns, all enemies are reduced to his base speed until the end of counter, so that does not affect your side of the table, right? Which is really good for things like assault battles where you get to those final tiers and enemies tend to just run laps around you, right? Uh, let's see if this will. All right. So, and then looking at the rest, he's going to reduce their base speed, which can't be increased after their speed is limited this way. Um, and his base value is recorded at the start of the encounter before any buffs or debuffs are applied. It does not affect raid bosses, and it does not activate if Luke has less than 40 stamina in a conquest battle. Right, so that's important for conquest because they, had some. Um, and then doesn't count if they have a galactic legend. But there was some things where you could do early in Conquest where it was like, yeah, let's just drop our Luke to like 1% stamina. Great, he has no speed. He takes a turn, right? And then it's like, okay, now the enemies don't have any speed and you run around with your Jedi Knight Revenant and just like go through everybody, right? At the start of the encounter, all Jedi allies also gain the granted Heroes Arise, not Old Republic. Um, Dispel all debuffs on all allies, then call all Jedi allies to assist, dealing 20% less damage. All Jedi allies recover 25% health and protection and gain Jedi's Will for 2 turns. Then Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker is granted 100% turn meter. So yeah, this is crazy. Old Republic is to keep Revan from, constantly spamming mass assist after mass assist, right? You have repulse here, inflict stun and vulnerable, right? Um, they lose 10% max in health, percent max health and protection stacking, max capped at 50%. On raid bosses, it deals physical damage to target enemy 3 times and inflict vulnerable. This ability can't be evaded or resisted. So that's really, really tough, right? Vulnerable allows you constantly critically hit. And as we saw in the leader slot, he does give extra critical damage. Critical damage. So that's really important as well. Then going from there, to target enemy and call other target ally to assist. Inflict blind on target enemy for 2 turns. He gains Jedi Will for 2 turns, which can't be copied. If target other ally is a Jedi who is not Old Republic, they also gain Jedi's Will until the end of the encounter. Looks like it. Can't tell. They gain 100% counter chance, 50% offense, 25% speed, and 25% tenacity. That is also huge. All right, so now you're constantly taking more turns than them because all their speed is equal to Jedi Knight Luke, and now you're taking a minimum of 25% more turns than they are. So you want your Luke slow, basically. And then on the basic, dispel all buffs and deal physical damage to target enemy. If they're a tank, also deal true damage to them, then reduce their critical damage by 10% stacking. Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker gains 10% max protection up until 100% until the end of the counter, and this attack can't be countered. So what he brings to the table is a lot of damage, which is why he's able to overpower SLK. This team is able to overpower SLKR so quickly is because before SLKR can really do a whole lot, the whole team is going in on SLKR. Revan will mark them so that you don't have to worry about the taunt from Kylo. And then Jedi Knight Luke, Hermit Yoda, Sky Guy, probably Grandmaster Yoda, or take your pick of another Jedi, are going to just come on in and smack SLKR's face all around, right? So that's really the big thing for that. And then lastly, if you make it to tier 6, this is when you get the big GL himself, um, which is going to be Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Galactic Legend, so really big kit. Galactic Legend says, you gain an extra 10% max health and protection per relic level, and you take reduced 30% damage, are the two big things there, which is really, really important to Jedi Knight Luke, which we'll get to here in a minute. Jedi Legacy here says that Jedi allies may gain Jedi lessons. First time each other light side ally falls below 100% health, they recover 25% health and protection, doubled for Jedi allies. Even more survivability. Like these guys' survivability stats are going off the charts, right? So it makes them really, really hard to kill. So then at the start of battle, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker gains Jedi Legacy until the end of battle, which says 100% mastery and ignores taunt during their turn. Can't gain Jedi lessons until the end of battle. Like he will just have it, and that is really, really huge. That 100% mastery, right? Especially if you have him like Relic 7, Relic 8, Relic 9, because that also takes into account the leader ability. What does the leader ability say? All light side allies have 10% max health, protection, double for Jedi allies. All Jedi allies have 40% offense and speed. If all allies are Jedi at the start of battle, excluding summoned allies, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker taunts while he has protection. All right, pretty good. First time each other Jedi ally falls below 100% health, they spell all debuffs on themselves and gain critical hit immunity, defense up, and tenacity up. So add more durability there. Then Luke taunts for an additional 2 turns. At the start of battle, Jedi allies gain the granted ability Inherited Teachings, which says, hey, gain Jedi lessons for 3 turns. That's the plus 100% mastery. And call target other ally to assist, dealing 90% less damage. Then they deal true damage to the target enemy. Oh, we lagging out? Looks like it. Here, we'll pull up the kit on my phone here, so we're not constantly lagging out. So we go to swgoh.gg. We'll pull up Jedi Master Skywalker. All right. So, loading. All right. So, is that the leader? Yeah, the leader. All right. So, and then they deal true damage to the target enemy based on 60% of Jedi Master Luke Skywalker's base max protection, which can't be evaded. So that's why that protection clause down there in the unique is, or not in the unique, but down in the Galactic Legend is so, so important, is because if you pump them up to Relic 9 where they give a bunch of health and a bunch of protection, your allies are going to deal a lot more damage. That's why that part right there particularly is so, so important. If that ally is Jedi, they gain Jedi lessons for 3 turns and 15% turn meter, recover protection equal to 5% of Luke Skywalker's base max protection, and reduce the cooldown of their inherited teachings by 1. This ability can't be used if there are no other Jedi allies. Cooldown of 2. So that is really, really important, which is why they're able to deal so much damage and why they wipe an SLKR team right off the map, right? Efflux deals special damage. So this is the first ability right here. Deal special damage to all enemies, then remove 20% turn meter from them and inflict ability block and breach for 2 turns. Deal 10% more damage and remove an additional 5% turn meter for each ally with Jedi Lessons or Jedi Legacy. All Jedi allies gain 5% turn meter and critical hit immunity for 1 turn. All right, so ramping up the damage even more, right? They grow beyond, so the one right above, right up here. Inflict tenacity down on target enemy for 2 turns, then daze them for 2 turns, increase their cooldowns by 1, right? Uh, for raid bosses, it'll inflict tenacity down on target enemy for 2 turns, then inflict 3 expose for 2 turns. So add into some damage there. Call target other light side ally to assist, then grant them and Giant Master Luke Skywalker advantage and critical damage up. If the target other ally is a Jedi, they get Jedi Lessons for 3 turns, which can't be copied. If they already had Jedi Lessons, the duration for all stacks on them resets to 3. Jedi Lessons gives 20% mastery per stack, right? So that is also really important because now they are dealing even more damage, right? That mastery is just going up and up and up. All right. So Indomitable Blast, which is this one up here. So he has looks like 4 abilities. Nope, just the 3. Sorry. So this is the basic right here. Inflict buff immunity on target enemy. That's good. And deal special damage to them. Luke gains 2% max health, stacking to 20% until the end of the encounter. This attack will critically hit if able and can't be countered. Also pretty good. All right, so now we're going to get to the ultimate. So it requires 100% ultimate charge to activate. He gains 8% ultimate charge whenever a Jedi gains Jedi Lessons or the duration of all their stacks of Jedi Lesson are reset, right? Jedi Master Luke transforms into Jedi Master Luke Skywalker Heroic and dispels Jedi Lessons from all Jedi allies, so they lose it. Dispel all debuffs on all Jedi allies and reset the cooldowns of their special abilities. All Jedi allies gain critical chance up, critical damage up, and gain Jedi Legacy and 35% offense until the end of battle. The max cooldown for They Grow Beyond and Efflux both are reduced by 2, which before it looks like their cooldown was 4 and 4. So now it's down to 2. And then Jedi. No, not Jedi Lesson. Is it Jedi Lessons that they gain? No, they gain Jedi Legacy, which I'm trying. No, that's lessons. Jedi Legacy gives them 100% mastery and they get to ignore taunts, right? So that's really, really important for damage output, survivability on your tanks, things like that. So that is why this team is really, really good. And why the Jedi are particularly good. One other thing I wanted to go over, and I'll add this team up here to the top, but one other alternative option which has seen some growth is not going to stand up to GLs just because of how it's made, but there's also Qui-Gon Omicron, which is pretty solid for defense, typically a 2-shot, unless you know what you're doing. Like a good CLS can counter it, but you're going to want to throw Qui-Gon Jinn with his Omicron up there because what he does is he gives offense equal to 30 times a character's speed, which is really, really big, or maybe it's 300, one of the two. It adds a bunch of offense and then adds additional offense when Qui-Gon dies. No other Jedis can die until Qui-Gon dies. So the main 2 components of that team is Qui-Gon in the leader slot because that's what the Omicron is on, and then Jedi Knight Anakin. You could run it with some of the other toolbox Jedi, take Anakin out of it if you would like, but at that point, it's more of an offensive team. So thanks for watching, guys. I know that was a lot of information. I hope it helps break down the Jedi team, like I said, or Jedi tag. But like I said, one thing I really, really love about this team is that it's a toolbox team and you can really slot in a bunch of different characters depending on what your need is. So hit that like button. Please subscribe if you get the chance. I got my Discord link down below. I have my Patreon link down below. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this. All right, guys. Thank you. And bye.